Hey good people, it's Minister Kenita Smith, and today's pearl is don't discredit God. So I want to just kind of take you on a little story. So for those of you that don't know me, I recently remarried about 4 years ago. I lost my late husband to bladder cancer, so I'm remarried, and my current husband does not have any children, or did not before we start having children. So I have a 2-year-old and I have a 5-month-old. And so we're out with the 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old loves water, right? So we go past this complex every time we go to the post office. And this complex has a fountain. And my 2-year-old loves this fountain. So he's always asking me to take him to the water. So we drive and we go past the complex and we go around and we're coming up on the water. And the first time we come up upon the water, I don't see anything, right? I'm just looking at the fountain and it's squirting the water and I'm just like, oh, look, RJ. But then I look again and I see there's a rainbow. And I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying to me, you didn't see it there the first time, but it was always there. And so what I want to tell you is don't discredit God, because the promise that God has given you, because that's what a rainbow truly represents, is the promises of God. So whatever God has given you in the past, you may not know how it's going to get there, but it is coming. And it's always been there. It's always been in the plan. It's just a matter of time before you're ready for it and before you're at the place to where you can receive what God has for you. Prime example in my life. So when I started off, I married, I did everything God's way. In fact, you'll hear a book from me that says, what if you did it God's way? We'll talk about that later. But I did everything God's way. I waited until marriage at this point after I had my first couple kids, and I wanted to do things God's way and get married, and I'm thriving in my marriage going on 7 years. And each year my husband battled bladder cancer. And the promise was always that I would be thriving, I would be successful in my ministry, and me and my marriage would be a successful marriage. I didn't expect my husband to die within that promise, but he did. And when he died, I performed his eulogy and I went through this whole process. I was a widow at 36 years old, and I felt like the promise was dead when that happened. But God reminded me that the promise is not dead, it's still there, and it has nothing to do with what's occurred in my life. Actually, that's what's going to catapult me forward. So your prayer for today is that the promises of God is still relevant in your life no matter where you are, and you can take that and use your pain and whatever else He's given it to you so that you can grow and strengthen and mature. And that is what He's going to use to catapult you into the promise that He has for you. So don't discredit God. No matter what your season is, know that the promise is there, that it's not gone anywhere, and it's always been there. And I'll see you next week.